Welcome to the Nürburgring in where else? Nürburg, Germany, for the first event in the main road series of J2ICS, Nickalator's Deutschland Sausagefest Invitational. We have Lieutenant Dan on the pole position for the grid with a 153.8. Just behind him, Brando, Fuzzy, MBR, Void, Captain, Nickname, and Nickalator. Rounding out the top 10 are Slug and Bay, and then we go down and it's Orbits, Fairy, Ankit, Yeet, Bot, and DC5R. Going further down, it's Urko, Banana, Crazy Sheep, and Bob, rounding out the top 20. It's going to be a cool race, 24 hours of simulated racing, 2.4 hours in real time. Let's get to the highlights here at the Nürburgring Grand Prix layout. Lieutenant Dan comes around the final corner to bring us to the green flag. The season has begun. We're going one full lap before we jump into the highlights. Let's watch him go around the GP. Now let's jump into the rest of these highlights as they enter lap 2. Let's go back to lap 1. A couple of incidents occurred. First one we're going to look at is Captain CK just getting his left tires onto the grass. Hard braking zone, you can't do that. Good save as he gets out onto the runoff. Very generous runoff area. Very lucky to have that happen here. But upon re-entry, Guantanamo Bay does not realize he's there, cuts him off. Bay goes spinning around, ends up sent to the back of the pack to start the race. Later on the lap, here we have Orbis Jupiter, big accordion effect, and Captain CK gets caught in the middle of it. Front end and rear end all smashed up. That's 2 incidents on lap 1. A little later in the lap, battle for 16th place. This is actually lap 2. We have Banana, Bot, Crazy Sheep behind Bot, and he just punts Bot into the corner. Great save by Bot. Sheep has to cut the corner to save himself from going off. And Bay uses this as a chance to make a move and secure 17th position from Bot. Comes around the final corner. A little later in the race, another incident with Captain CK making contact with DC. DC goes around. CK goes around and gets impacted. Here's a look at it from CK's view. Just no real chance to avoid this. And that is the third incident collecting Captain today. Not a good start. Later in the race, Great battle here between Slug and Nickname. And right here, Nickalator just barely misses his breaking point and barely misses Slug as well. Now we go to Orbit's Jupiter a couple laps later. Got Yeet looking up the inside. Going into the hairpin, Yeet just barely taps Orbit, and he is unable to save it. He has to take the long trip through the grass to get back to the track, losing a couple positions. A little bit later, Bay trying to make the move, and he just runs over that Bong Life Porsche. Urko sent into the sandy runoff. Here's a solid battle a little bit later in the race. We have MBR and Fuzzy battling for third place. Void right behind them. Void looking to the right, MBR looking to the left. They're coming through Mercedes Arena, and they are still side by side. Some really impressive racing here as they come out of turn 4. Going down a long stretch to turn 5. MBR passes on the left. Void passes on the right. And Fuzzy, a little late on the brakes heading to the corner, runs into Void. Great save by Void there. And then Fuzzy right here just misses his braking point maybe. Slides off into the runoff and impacts the tire barrier. No real damage done, but loses several positions, dropping from 3rd all the way back outside of the top 10. Later in the race, another incident with Orbit's Jupiter. Trish just loses it in front of Orbit's, and more damage done to that Porsche. And yet again, another incident with Orbit's. Fuzzy trying to make his way back up through the pack. This is about 20 minutes into the race. Orbit's locks him up, receives a little tap on the rear, and he's able to maintain his position for a little bit in front of Fuzzy here, but that Porsche just continues to get battered, and we are only 20 minutes into this race. Night begins to fall, claims its first victim. It's Captain CK. He goes off, and that's about it. That's a long tow as he gets sent to the Shadow Realm. Here's a neat little battle between MBR and Void. These two were battling back and forth all throughout the day, night, and then back into the day. But here, Void clips NBR's right quarter panel and sends him around in the Mercedes Arena. Doesn't lose too many positions. Here's Bay trying to pass a lapped car. That's Banana. He gets clipped, and he has to do the little walk of shame off the track as he waits for people to pass by. An hour 30, excuse me, left in the race here. Lieutenant Dan commanding lead all race. This is his one mistake of the race so far. Misses turn 1 just a little bit. Has to take a trip through the runoff, but very little time lost. Brando sits behind him about 2 seconds back. 10 minutes later, Slug passing lap traffic. Behind him, Crazy Sheep. Oh, and slides right in front of him. Very, very close to being a major incident. Slug running in 5th here. Just to barely miss him. That's a view from Slug's cockpit. And a little bit later in the evening, this is about halfway through the race. Very tight battle between Lieutenant Dan and Brando. You see here, Brando has eventually made the pass for the lead. And these two were battling for several laps concurrently before they ended up pulling into the pits with some really good nose to bumper racing here, weaving through lap traffic. These two had really solid pace all throughout the day and into the night. Despite Dan's incredible hot lapping early in the race, Brando was able to keep up and keep himself in position to at least fight for the win, especially even later into the night and up into the morning. He was in position to win this one. But right here, Dan's going to get a run on him, get to the left side, and through the chicane. This is a textbook overtake. Beautiful pass through the chicane, and coming around the final corner, Dan continues to hold the lead. Right here, very dangerous pass by Yeet on Bot, but he manages to make it. Maybe a little bit of a slam into Bot's door, but he does get around Bot and secures the position. And speaking of Bot, 50 minutes left in the race, coming in for a pit, That's Beast in front of him, a lapped car. He decides, I'm not waiting. I'm going around you to get to my pit stall. A look from inside of Bot's Corvette, hopping the curb and going around Beast to get to the pits. With 30 minutes left in the race, the sun began to rise, and Lieutenant Dan continued to hold his monumental lead. And not only that, but he had the fastest lap of the race on lap 2, and nobody had beaten that 1:53.6 so far. 28 minutes left. And we zoom out a little bit further here with 14 minutes left in the race. You see Lieutenant Dan down there just coming out of turn 6. Where is Void? Where is second place? We have to go a little further back. You see Dan is entering turn 7, the hairpin up there. We go down here. There's Void coming out of turn 5. So several seconds back. That's a lot of time to make up in 14 minutes. Skipping ahead now, just 4 minutes remaining. Not a lot happening when the sun came up. Everyone was spread out. Very stable racing. Void was a little bit closer here. He had closed the gap a bit. If we cut here, 4 minutes left. This is Ferry and Nickalator. Ferry coming out of the pits to try and defend the position at the last minute. Nick is able to get by him for a moment, side by side through Mercedes Arena. Coming around turn 3, Ferry locks him up and has to sit back there for a while. As the time ran out, Dan still had the lead, coming around the last corner to get the white flag. A commanding lead. At this point, Void had fallen back into third. Second place was actually held by NBR. If we cut back here, NBR's not that far back. How did he get into second? He has not taken tires the entire race. An Ironman feat, driving the car to second place on what can only be described as no tread. Surely no tread. Lieutenant Dan, if you see there though, he's coming out of turn 4 as NBR goes into turn 2 on the last lap. Pretty secure lead. Back to that battle with Nickalator and Ferry. Ferry goes up the left side here, and he does take it into the chicane. This is the last lap. They're coming around to the checkered. Nick gets a little loose out of the chicane. It looks like it is Ferry's position. This is the battle for 8th, and oh, he just loses it going into the final corner. Only loses the position to Nick, but still a shame considering how beautiful the overtake through the chicane was. Another final lap battle here. Bot 14 and Fuzzy Tacos going into turn 1. Tacos, a little bit of a dive. Bot closes the door. They make a little bit of contact. Solid overtake. That's the battle for 12th right there. And going through Mercedes Arena, Bot would make a couple mistakes. Fuzzy would pull away, and that would be it. Fuzzy would take 12th. Bot 13th. Meanwhile, on the other side of the track, Lieutenant Dan going through the chicane for one final time on lap 75 after 2.4 hours of racing at the Nürburgring GP, comes off the final corner to take the victory in the first race of the Road Main Series for J2ICS. And shortly after him, MBR takes second for deadweights, and in third is Void, making it a 1-3 dual podium for Arc Sendit. And here are the two teammates celebrating together in the Turn 1 runoff after the checkered flag. A well-deserved celebration, a dual podium finish. Not an easy achievement, especially in a crown jewel. Going to take one final look at the results here. An exciting day and night of racing. Of course, you had the podium, Dan, MBR, and Void, then Brando, Slug, Nickname, Bay, Nickalator, Ferry, and Yeet round out your top 10 finishers for the race. Going down, it's Orbits in 11th, then you have Fuzzy and Bot, Derek, Urko, Jensen, Bob, Banana, DC, and Crazy Sheep rounding out the top 20. Then you go down, you have Beast, Captain, an unfortunate day considering how well he qualified, Drunk, Dale, Ankit, Jason, Gives, and Trish. An incredible day of racing. Some close battles. The fastest lap goes to Dan with that 153.6, which means he secures all 4 bonus points, scoring the maximum amount of points possible in the race. Well, it's been a pleasure having you. Next week, we'll be coming to you from California, where we will be heading to Laguna Seca. We will see you there.
Oh, Vector, I feel so bad for you.